All right, now for our feature story of the day, the latest from Cathie Wood. We're going to be discussing a couple of headlines. Number one, BlackRock and Fidelity ETF bombshell triggers a massive 75 trillion Bitcoin market cap prediction. Also, Cathie Wood says 1.5 million Bitcoin price explosion on the table by 2027. Remember, initially she was predicting by 2030. Well, she's gotten that much more bullish. So let's break this baby down, shall we? And broskies, please pump the likes and show Cathie Wood some love. This is for you guys. Anyways, family. So yeah, let's get right into it. Scrolling down, here we go. Last year, and this is quoting Cathie Wood, we put our bull case for Bitcoin at 1.5 million. And she shared that on stage at the New York Bitcoin Investor Day conference, reported by Business Insider. And continuing on, with this institutional green light and that the SEC provided, kicking and screaming, though it did, the analysis we have done is that if institutional investors would allocate a little more than the 5% of their portfolios into Bitcoin, as we think they will over time, that alone would add 2.3 million to the projection I just gave you. Damn straight. Now, Wall Street giants BlackRock and Fidelity. BlackRock, the largest asset manager in the world, roughly 10 trillion in assets under management. Fidelity is in the top 5. I know they have roughly 4.5 trillion assets under management. I believe it's Vanguard. That's number 2. Anyways, they emerged as the 2 largest of the new Bitcoin ETF issuers. And in fact, BlackRock just surpassed 250,000 Bitcoin in their stash, surpassing the stash of MicroStrategy, which took 4 years to accumulate and have 1% of the circulating supply. Just saying. Now, Wood's own ARK21 shares Bitcoin ETF now holds almost 40,000 Bitcoin worth $2 billion on behalf of investors. Wood's new Bitcoin price prediction can see Bitcoin hitting 3.8 million per coin by 2030, a massive near 6,000% increase from the current price action. Quoting her again, we think Bitcoin has miles to go. We're at the very beginning of really putting in place the financial ecosystem native to the internet and disintermediating all of the toll takers. So there you go. Now, she also says, rather than solely attributing Bitcoin's current fluctuations to the impending halving, we suggest a nuanced view, considering factors like spot Bitcoin ETF flows, evolving miner profitability, post-halving, and general market psychology. With high greed levels on pretty much all fronts, she said in an email with the comments, with more Bitcoin retracements potentially looming and historical patterns indicating potential turbulence, we advise investors to tread carefully while exploring opportunities amid the uncharted territory for the 2024 halving. Now for this other headline on the 1.5 million coming by 2027. This was an interview she did roughly a month ago, projecting Bitcoin hitting 1.5 million by 2027. According to Wood, institutional investors will increasingly turn their attention towards the king crypto as its path strays away from traditional assets, eventually causing it to skyrocket. Quoting her here, the forecast was, our bull case was 1.5 million in 5 years. So that would have been 2027. We still have time, and we still think that's going to be right. But if you look at the institutional push into Bitcoin, this new asset class, they have to consider its fiduciaries. When you use those code words, new asset class, flight to safety, what it means, the correlation of these returns are very low compared to those other assets. Since Bitcoin's supply is capped at 21 million and institutional investors are now taking it more seriously, Wood says Bitcoin is now in a position to increase its price quicker than ever before. Quoting her here, what are we saying? There are 19.6 million Bitcoin out there right now, and the highest it'll ever go, 21 million. Well, okay. There's real scarcity value. And what is going to happen? The price increase for every institutional dollar pushing in now is going to be much higher than it was last year or 2 years ago. And let me know if you agree first and foremost. And also, if you want to watch the actual interview she did, check the show notes below the video in the description. And let's discuss this. $3.8 million Bitcoin by 2030, $1.5 million Bitcoin by 2027. Do you feel this is probable? Do you think it's realistic? Or just another pipe dream of people taking hits from the hopium bong? Let me know your honest thoughts. I personally feel 1 million is in the cards. 1 million can potentially happen this year. Unprecedented times. Right? It's 2024. No one knows how low that dollar will continue to drop because of inflation, hyperinflation, which can lead to hyper-Bitcoinization, factors we must at least consider. Also, these Bitcoin ETF inflows are not slowing down anytime soon. In fact, it's more like a snowball effect. They're continuing to increase. What's going to happen when we get more ETF adoption, more game theory playing out? Hong Kong about to release their spot ETFs. Then we got El Salvador about to launch their ETFs, right? Bitcoin halving looming 3 weeks away. This is a very special time. If you're new to crypto, here's what's going to happen. Bitcoin's going to go parabolic, preceding the halving, as it always has all the previous cycles. And in fact, what makes this cycle a little different, as I mentioned a little earlier in the stream, for the first time in Bitcoin history, we surpassed the previous all-time high pre-halving. That's right. We broke the 69,000 all-time high we hit back on November 10th of 2021 a few weeks ago. The new top is 73,800. Safe to exaggerate a little and round up to 74,000 for the sake of round numbers, right? So we already broke the all-time high for the first time in Bitcoin history pre-halving. What's going to happen post-halving? Something else much different this cycle. Institutional demand, institutional FOMO did not exist 2020, 2021. That was purely driven by the retail. I feel the retail haven't even began this cycle. The retail will begin when we hit the six-figure mark because people just love buying at the top. That's just the nature of the beast. That's human psychology. When Bitcoin was discounted $16,000 in 2022 after the debacle of FTX and Luna and everything freaking collapsing in real time, nobody wanted it. They're like, Bitcoin's going to drop to 3,000. Garrett Soloway says so. I'm just going to wait and play it smart. And then these mofos waited, and now Bitcoin's back at 70 Gs, all-time highs. Yeah, I mean, sooner than anticipated. So you already know. So yeah, institutional FOMO did not exist previous cycle. Also, nation state adoption. I think it was 2020, 2021. Bukele made Bitcoin a legal tender. Now we have other countries following in the footsteps, doing the same. Now we have Tether and other major companies following the playbook of Bukele and Michael Saylor, launching speculative attacks, purchasing as much Bitcoin as they could, and continuing to grow successfully. This means other companies can do the same. MicroStrategy is just one company. El Salvador is one country. How many countries are there on this planet? I don't know. You tell me. Thousands, if not thousands, there's minimal hundreds, right? How many companies are there in the S&P 500? I like to believe there's 500. And I like to believe that MicroStrategy will become in the S&P 500 because they're most qualified to do so as well. So how many other countries are going to follow this blueprint? How many other MicroStrategies will it take to acquire just 1% of the Bitcoin supply before we go ham? And when I say ham, parabolic to new all-time highs, six-figure, seven-figure price discovery mode beyond the bear's wildest expectations. Do you know that the hash rate has tripled from the time of the previous all-time high in the previous cycle? Yet the price is the same. We're still flirting at 69,000. We were there 3 years ago, right? I'm so bullish. And not even funny. There's so many bullish catalysts. Bitcoin being a hedge against inflation, a hedge against deflation. It's an insurance policy, as Cathie Wood calls it. It's a flight to safety, as the world's largest asset management CEO, Lawrence Fink, calls it. I should say it's unpredictable what's going to happen. So your guess is as good as mine. Thank you. 195 countries. Is that all? Does that include territories like Puerto Rico? Let me know. Did you say ham? Yes, I am a vegetarian that just said ham. Hey, it is what it is. But anyways, family, 1 million, easy peasy. Can it happen this year? It's possible. Will it? We'll soon find out. It's going to be a fun run. That's one thing for sure. One thing exciting about crypto, we don't know what to expect. But that's what's so beautiful. Price discovery means this is a moment in time we've never been at before. This is a price action we have never seen. So anything is possible, right? All predictions are doable, right? Some of you guys are saying we're going to drop back down to 40. I wish you the best of luck with that, but I am just too optimistic to believe that, considering all the factors I just laid out for you. Then you got to also consider and calculate sovereign wealth fund adoption on the back of the nation state adoption, right? And how many more billionaires? I mentioned yesterday in the stream, there's roughly 2,500 billionaires in the world. 1,000 of those billionaires are over 70 years old. One of them would be, Donald Trump. How many of those billionaires are going to move into Bitcoin as well? That's where the big money, that's the big money. How many more Ricardo Salinas are going to make the move? How many Tim Drapers are going to make the move? How many Mike Saylors or Max Kaisers are going to make that move next? You already know. What's the alternative? Gold? Wow, $2,200 an ounce. All-time high, guys. Peter Schiff celebrating, doing backflips if he could do a backflip, just saying. But that's not exciting to me. What's exciting is Bitcoin going up 5x this cycle. What's gold going up 5-10%? Big whoop. I think it's Max Kaiser who said for every dollar gold goes up, Bitcoin will go up $30. So would you rather have a 30x return or a modest 1x return to say you have the physical asset? Who wants the physical asset when you're living in a digital world? Tell any child. I have a child who is 10 years old. And if you say, what would you prefer? All your money in Roblox or fiat currency? She'll say straight up, who cares about fiat currency? I would just take it to buy the freaking Robux. You know what I mean? Because we're living in a digital world. Bitcoin is digital currency. It's currency of the future. It's the currency of the resistance. Who would want a physical asset with a corrupt government that can just take it away from you like they do to Andrew Tate seizing his assets? They can seize everything he has except his Bitcoin, right? What about Ye? You know what I mean? He said some stuff, speaking the truth. Powers that be determined that was a direct threat. He's too influential. Let's freeze his assets. Let's take away his deal. The only thing they can't take away from you, Bitcoin, right? They can take away that Bitcoin ETF, BTC, just saying. But properly self-custodied Bitcoin is unconfiscatable. Bitcoin is incorruptible, hence why it's perfect money. There has never been a perfect money like this because every money they just print more of. They create more. They find more. Gold, oh, we'll just dig more up from the dirt, right? Bitcoin, you can't dig more up from the dirt because Satoshi figured this out. Right? It requires computational power from the miners. And we're about to have a supply shock. Something else I didn't even calculate into this prediction. Supply shock incoming in 6 to 12 months as per crypto quant analysts. Why is that? There's only 2 million biddies left to go on the exchanges. And the current daily issuance being awarded to miners is 900. That's about to get cut in half to 450. So when you only got 450 new Bitcoin being awarded per day, right? And a very minimal supply on the exchanges. And you have companies like BlackRock purchasing over 10,000 Bitcoin per day. And that's just one asset manager. What does that tell me? Supply shock. What's going to happen when we have a legitimate supply shock like we've never experienced before in Bitcoin history? Numbers go way up, all the way up. And that's when we can realistically expect these crazy $1 million plus Bitcoin price predictions. But let me know your thoughts, fam. Holla.